I'm Christine, and as you can see, things are a little bit different today. Today, instead of doing our normal artist interview, we're going to be doing a highlight special. First of all, what is Artscope? Artscope is the show that is made by and is for artists. Artscope's goal is to showcase works that are done by aspiring artists in hope of inspiring other artists. So because we're about halfway through the first season or so, we thought we'd look back on our previous interviews and kind of do a little highlighting. We're going to do this highlight reel from the beginning until our most recent artist. We start with Ben Hale, aka Macon, with how he started as a very young artist.
When I was really young, I remember eventually going up to my dad and saying, "Dad, I want to learn how to draw." And I recall he was in the middle of doing something. He was really busy, he had his hands full. That didn't faze him. He dropped what he was doing, looked at me and said, "Let's go get you some stuff." And he took me shopping to go get art supplies. Of course, he didn't overdo it, you know. I was very young. I guess that was probably one of his very first spoil the child trips. But it's impacted my life, and I owe everything to my mom and to my dad for pretty much how my life has turned out.
One of our favorite questions on the show, which you should hear in most every interview, is what is the best advice that you've been given? Mikiko Ponsek, also known as Zombie Smile, delivers us some really excellent advice that she has heard.
He said, people are always interesting. Because I was drawing people and I got worried that drawing people might get boring after a while, because I was doing it for a portfolio and I was like, I'm trying to impress someone with a portfolio. And I'm like, but it's all just people I'm drawing. And he's like, don't worry, people are always interesting. And the older I get, the more I find that that's the truth. Every single person has different experiences in life and has a story to tell. And it never gets boring. So that's one. He also said that when you draw art, you have to draw things that are invisible as well. And I didn't understand what he meant by that. But what he meant is that a lot of things in a painting can point to things that you don't see. So like three-dimensional thinking is one of those things, right? You draw a three-dimensional object, you don't really see that something is round. For example, a ball is round. You don't see the back of it, but you know it's round in the back and things. So things like that, or things that are covered up, you know, faces that aren't quite shown or something. You still, the mind completes the stuff that you don't see in the head, right? Like puts the image together like a puzzle and things. So doing art well is about creating this illusion of there being more to it. It's the same with stories, right? You give away a little bit and people want to know the rest. That's because you're kind of hinting at something that they don't see yet. So that was somewhat of a thing that's really stuck with me.
Sometimes artists who do art as a job often don't get the chance to do art for fun anymore. Ellie White, also known as Skirts, reminds us to take a step back, and sometimes it's good to do art just for yourself.
Probably one of my most recent favorites. I just did one called Robin. It's this really cute little gal with she's got really long blonde hair and she's got a couple birds with her. That was my most recent original piece, and I don't know, I just wanted to do something that was completely all my aesthetics, just to kind of have a lot of fun with something that you're not going to give it to someone, they're going to go, oh, well, not that really had, oh, I hate it, but there was no one to answer to. It was just all me. So I guess I'm kind of attached to it on a more of a personal level for that, just to kind of have a moment with myself.
As artists, we all know that we are our own worst critic. We are so critical of ourselves that we oftentimes don't see how a piece that we've created could be liked by anybody. Damon Young, more popularly known as Radiark, shows us just how true that is.
Tell us a little bit about Tough as Nails.
Okay, so that was actually birthed from Burning-Con 2013 when I met Automatic Jack, and I said I liked his name so much I wanted to make a song specifically for him, and I wanted to incorporate the elements that I felt his name corresponded to. So, of course, it had to be for Applejack, but that's where the guitar came from. But the just intense percussion and just all of that, I wanted to make something that felt mechanical, but all the same, like just all around powerful. And I was actually feeling kind of disappointed with myself because I listened to some parts of the song and I kind of shook my head. I was like, I don't know if this is okay. So I uploaded it not knowing what everyone would think about it, and the responses were, I just couldn't believe that people liked it as much as they did. And even my own grandmother, like that's her favorite song of mine. Yeah. She has it on her phone. And she says that whenever she's feeling down, she listens to it, and it always makes her feel better.
Something that we've been seeing a lot lately in media is the push for diversity. Aspiring author Ellie definitely has that in mind.
I kind of really like how I represent different people, because like growing up and kind of finding out who I am in my adult life, that has recently shaped my writing, and obviously like, you know, being a giant feminist, be represented and trying to like get representation of other people in writing, because most and almost everyone can agree with me on this, most books are white, heterosexual, and usually male, and I feel like that's been a little bit worn out. So I feel like that's what I'm focusing on, and that's what I'm really proud of, is like focusing on other representations.
Working on Artscope has given us a really excellent chance of talking to all these different artists that have all these different sorts of talents and all of this different work underneath their belt. And it's pretty cool to see some of their completed stuff and even engage in some of it. Alyssa Leandra DeLangan talks to us about the awesome dating sim that she's made and the one that she's currently working on now.
You have actually created a little video game, a visual novel.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I've actually made one, and I'm working on another significantly larger one. The first one I made is called Algor Mortis, and it's about a faun, and he ends up living with a girl who's rotting to death.
There's your hook.
Yeah, that's the pitch. It has 4 different endings. Varying degrees of happiness depending on which one you get. The one I'm working on right now, I've been working on it for quite a while, is called the Doenkai, and it's a pretty traditional dating sim where you play as the main character and you get to pursue a love interest, but they're all non-humans. One is a tiger, but he's a bipedal tiger and not just a normal tiger.
Okay.
So no, there's a fish boy, a tiger boy, a piano head, a robot.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of the character artwork for this. Okay.
There's 2 more, and I always forget a couple of them when I try to list them all, but anyway, you can see them all on doenkai.com.
So that's kind of it. Those are the artists that we've had on the show so far, and we're really, really looking forward to having more artists as the show progresses. As I mentioned earlier, this is sort of a halfway mark for the first season. So we're going to have more seasons, which means we're going to have more artists. Now, some people probably think that we've got it sort of planned out. We know who's going to be on the show when, we know who we're talking to, etc., etc. The truth is, we don't. We kind of just play everything by ear. We heavily encourage people to come to us and ask for interviews. Remember, you don't have to be working in the industry to be on our show. You don't have to be making money with your art to be on the show. All you have to do is be an artist and have somewhere where we can go to see your work. An interview will usually take about an hour or so to record, depending on what sort of technical difficulties we have, but we promise you that hour will not be painful. You may have just caught that I said the interview would take about an hour or so. That's a lot of footage to get from an hour, and we're only producing 10-minute episodes on YouTube. So you might be wondering, well, what's the point of doing an hour-long interview? The thing with having those long interviews is that in the future, we're going to have a podcast channel, and we're going to go ahead and share full-length episodes of interviews from the artists up there. Our goal is to have 10 to 15-minute episodes on YouTube, so we cut out a lot of really good footage, and so that good footage is going to go on the podcast. If you like the sound of what Artscope is and what we'll be bringing in the future, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and like us and talk to us. Comment below, tell us about, if you have ideas or if you want to get into contact with us, go ahead and talk to us. I promise we're not scary. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button too. We're going to be doing more videos on this channel that aren't just about Artscope. So, hey, you should stay tuned. I hope you guys continue to check out our show, and thank you so much for all the support you've already given us. Again, I'm Christine, and I'll see you on another episode another time. Bye!